I get it set up here. Sorry.
Oh my gosh, who's got a cold?
Oh, she doesn't have a cold. She just got a tickle.
You have a tickle. You come over to my house, I'll tickle you.
She would go to your house if I'd put her in the car and take her there.
Yes, sir. We'd love to have you over here. You can come spend a week. We got lots of
Would you like
work
to go spend
you
a
could
week
do.
with Richard?
Totally.
Yes.
I would too.
Next
time I have a free week, we're going to your house.
Yeah.
Can you say hi to Ava?
Hey, Ava. Woo! Hi, Ava. Hi.
Go get me a hair tie so I can get Ava's hair out of her
You
eyes.
can't see Ava in it.
Yeah, go get one. There's
Hi,
Grandma. Ava, there's Grandma.
Where's Austin?
Austin went to get me a hair tie so I can get my baby's hair out of her face.
Where's Daddy?
We had a lazy day today because it was a remote day of school. So
Yeah.
we had a lazy
No,
day.
when we had tacos for lunch with donuts. Yes.
Hi, how are you?
Ava, can you say hi?
She's talking up a storm.
Yeah, she is. Can you say hi?
Hi, Richard.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
Good to see you.
Can you wave, Ace? Can you wave? She is so interested in this. What's going on, Ava?
What
What's
is it?
going
Eh?
on? Where's
up
Grandma?
there?
Can you see
It's
Grandma?
It's Uncle Richard. Grandma.
Anna,
Julie.
Anna.
And
No,
it's
it says
Kathy, but Kathy, we can't see Kathy. I don't know why. I
Mm.
don't know where Kathy
It's
is.
terrible. Come on, Austin.
Kathy.
There's Austin.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Okay, well, I'll try and figure out how to get my camera on.
Where
Let's
are
keep your
you?
hair
Where
out of your
are you,
eyes.
Kathy?
I'm in the back room. I'm heading up.
Oh, okay. Very good.
I'll probably switch to my computer when I get to the office.
Well, so far, all the Stokes have showed up and nobody else.
Oh, folks, huh?
Oh, let's see who this is. This is Uncle Robert.
Oh, it's Ron.
Ron.
Hi.
I don't know, Ron.
Hello.
Ava.
Hi.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Well, same to you.
Can you say hi to those kids?
Is today Valentine's Day? I thought today was Lucky 222 Day.
It's Groundhog's Day.
Oh,
Dog's Day.
No, it's not. Valentine's Day.
Did you hear that the groundhog died?
I heard that the groundhog died. Yeah, but they have a replacement. He's like Santa Claus. He never really dies.
True.
He predicts the weather every year,
You're pushing on me.
whether it's him or one of his helpers, right?
Yeah.
Boise has one that Boise Zoo that they. Oh,
Oh, do they?
yeah, I think they named him something different, but he was down there today at the zoo.
His name's not Punxsutawney Phil.
Was it vibrate?
Here, we're gonna have to mute ourselves because we are too loud.
Oh, there's Steve. Hi, Steve.
Stop it. You guys are crazy.
It's Steve. He's doing on his TV
Oh.
because he's sitting on the couch. Richard.
Look, there's Scott.
Oh, Scott's on. How do I see everybody? I don't see anybody.
Mom, what
Uh,
you do is here, click
You
on
have to find a
somebody.
different view.
Click, Grandma, click on somebody. And then there's a little blue circle up at the top right corner.
You
Click
have to
that.
leave it alone.
And if that's the person you want to watch, like for a while, then you just click the one of the things that says, I can't remember what it says, like view or something.
Oh,
Just start
gallery.
hitting buttons so you can see more people.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm.
Oh, I can see Scotty on here.
Oh, I can't see.
Do you know
it. Oh, there.
if Aaron's gonna come or
Nice.
not? Can you call him and just see if he's gonna join us? If he was gonna, I know that Wendy can't join us, but Katie said she was going to. And it's
Yeah,
so
let me call him real quick.
So good to see you guys, everybody. Happy Groundhog's Day and happy 222 Day. We're gonna have some fun tonight celebrating Grandpa Kirkham's lucky 222 Day. And we don't want to take all night. So, oh, there's Aunt Kathy. So what we're gonna do is we're going to ask Aunt Carol to say a opening prayer, and then we're going to ask Steve to talk to us a little bit about the video, just to kind of set it up. And then after he's finished, after the video is finished, and we're going to watch that video, Steve, up till 22 minutes and 22 seconds.
22 minutes and 22 seconds.
Yeah, because it's so funny that the interview part of the war, that's how long that interview took, was 22. So it's just weird how many things come up with that number. So Carol, would you just say an opening prayer for us? Everybody fold your arms and we'll have a prayer.
Dear Heavenly Father, thank you that we can have this Zoom meeting tonight. We're thankful for our grandpa and our loved ones, all our family members. Thankful for Richard for bringing us together, and ask thee that we can enjoy each other's company and have a great time. And we thank thee for this opportunity in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Aunt Carol. That was sweet. And just so you all know, Uncle Kirk is in a meeting, but I called him and he's going to try to join us in about 25 minutes, which is about how long the video lasts. And then after the video, I want Steve to take a minute or two and tell us a little bit about how maybe, how he feels about Grandpa. And, that was a kind of I think a really marvelous thing what Steve did. And I want him to tell us about the process and maybe some of the backstory that he doesn't talk about in the video. And then everybody can share some memory of Grandpa, and we'll have a few laughs, and we'll try to wrap this thing up at 7 o'clock. So let me share my screen here and start that video. Okay. Before I do that, I'm gonna make sure I've got the audio settings correct. Okay, they are. So share and, oh dear, let's see, open up the last tab. Do that. So this is a good thing. Anyway, I can show you guys how to find this. If you go to YouTube and if you type the word Steve Stokes, Dale Kirkham, it will find it, and it's right there. And so we're going to start it at the beginning. Okay, here we go. Wait a minute. I don't think I have it on the right screen.
Just how I do it, Jules.
Hang on just a second. Share screen. Okay.
Well, anybody want to take a look at our dinner while we're waiting?
Yeah.
Fish
Ooh,
taco. We're having fish tacos.
that looks good. Okay. So I'm gonna do that one more time. You guys are seeing my screen now. There's a duck on the screen. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. If you search for YouTube and you go to YouTube and you search for Steve Stokes and Dale Kirkham, this interview will come up. That's one way you can get there. And so with that, we're going to start the video. Oh, wait, I was going to have Steve set it up. Go ahead, Steve.
Well, I think I was well, I don't know. I just what happened was I
I'll have,
just came across
I'll
I
have,
came across a whole bunch of old videos and pictures, and I just had the feeling that if I just didn't do anything with them, they were just going to disappear, and I thought that they would be more useful shared with people than not. And I think that this phone call I actually did. I think I was in high school, and I think that I was supposed to do an interview with somebody who was a veteran or something like that. And so anyways, I called Grandpa Kirkham and interviewed him on the phone, and then I recorded it, and then I found all these other photos and videos and things, and then I think 2014 was when I put them together. That's not the date of the interview. I think the interview was in like 1998 probably, or 1997. So 2014 is when I put it all together, when I kind of rediscovered all of it and put it together. But
It just so happens, Steve, that the day you called Grandpa for this interview was his birthday, which is May the 24th. So May the 24th, 1997, he would have been about 73 years old.
Yeah.
Okay, so with that, we'll go ahead and watch the video. And this picture that's on the screen is Grandma Kirkham. And that little girl that she's holding, I think that's you, isn't it, Carol? I think you're muted, Carol.
I'm pretty sure it is.
Okay, so here we go.
Hello.
Hello, Grandma. How you doing?
Hi, Scott. How are you, honey?
I'm doing great.
Good. Except this is Stephen, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, it is. That's all right. I'm used to it by now.
Yeah, I thought it was our Scott.
No, no.
So what's going on?
Oh, I'm just doing a little schoolwork is all.
Okay, fire away.
Well, I need to interview someone from the war, so I was wondering if Grandpa was at home.
Yeah, hang on just a second, honey.
Okay.
Hello.
Happy birthday, Grandpa.
Hello, Scott.
How you doing?
Oh my gosh, if this doesn't make my birthday perfect to hear from you.
Oh, jeez.
How are you, Steve?
I'm doing great. It's good to talk to you.
Huh?
It's good to talk to you.
Good to talk to you. I wondered how you're doing today.
Oh, I'm just doing great. I've never been doing so good in my life.
I heard you got a job this morning.
I certainly did.
You're not going to be able to come down this weekend then, huh?
Probably not.
Oh, gee whiz.
I got to work on Monday and Saturday, I think, or Friday.
Friday and Monday?
Yeah.
Not Saturday and Sunday?
I don't think so. I'm not sure.
Is there any way you could trade somebody out of a job?
Maybe. But I don't know. I don't want to press my luck on my first week, you know, so.
It's pretty tough to do that on your first week.
Yeah.
Sometimes, though, you just open your mouth and the people are tickled to death, you know?
Yeah.
You never know.
Well, I'll see what I can do, but I don't know. I was just wondering if you could help me out a little bit.
What do you need? What are you in?
Oh, I'm in world history.
World history?
Yeah, and I need to interview someone that was in World War II.
Oh my gosh, how about that? You want to know about the atomic bomb, don't you?
Oh, sure.
Is that what you was after?
Well, yeah, that.
Morally okay to do that or not?
Well,
That's what they usually want to know.
that, and then like just like stuff in general.
Stuff in general?
Yeah, like your experiences and how you felt about it.
Shoot away.
Okay, hold on. I'm gonna record this, so.
Oh, all right.
So hold on while I start my tape player, okay?
Now let me get on a better phone. Well, this phone I can't hear for doodling it, but it's not the phone, it's the wires we got coming up here.
Oh, okay.
But go ahead, I'll try it.
Oh, okay, just a sec. Okay, so
Okay.
we have Dale Kirkham on the phone here. We're gonna interview him about World War II. So you were in the Navy
I went in the Navy when I was 18.
when you were 18.
Uh-huh. I wasn't drafted. I joined because I figured they were eventually going to get me anyway.
Huh.
It was in the very depths of the war. In 43, early 43 is when I started getting involved.
So about in the middle of the war, huh?
Yeah, well, it started in 41, but they didn't get revved up until 42 and 3.
Okay.
And of course, the war was over in 45, so, you know.
Yeah. So did that upset you, or were you nervous to go into the war?
No, I wasn't nervous. I was a little apprehensive when I went under the Golden Gate Bridge out of San Francisco. Didn't know where I was going or where we were headed or anything.
A little uneasy, huh?
Pardon?
A little uneasy, huh?
A little emotional.
Yeah.
That's about it.
Well, was your family sad to see you go, or?
My father and mother were divorced, and my mother. I took care of my mother the last few years I was home with. We had a farm, and I took care of the farm.
So she was kind of upset, huh?
What'd you say?
Was she kind of upset about it?
No, she wasn't upset. I don't think. She worried like all mothers do. My brother was in the Marine Corps, and
Yeah.
of course, mothers worry about boys.
Yeah. So where was the first place that you were stationed at?
I went into the New Hebrides. It's down near Australia, New Caledonia, where I wasn't stationed, but there I was taken off this Liberty ship and put on another ship and went to the Solomons, where Guadalcanal, Tulagi, Russell Islands, and Bougainville is. Russell Island, at that time, Guadalcanal was a turning point in the war.
Yeah. So what happened there? What was the turning point that happened there?
Well, the United States finally got on the initiative. They had a couple of pretty good battles there, naval battles, and there were they were sending about 8,000 Japanese into the northern end of Guadalcanal. They intercepted the vessels on the way in, sunk a lot of them, and beached the rest of the transports that they were transporting them on. And then they got in a big naval battle between Japan and the United States. And,
Yeah.
we about won that. We didn't exactly win it, but we turned them around, we might say. And that's where the turning point of the war was in the Pacific.
Yeah. Okay.
It was early on in the war. That was before the Saipan, Guam, Tinian, and Formosa, and the Caroline Islands, and all the rest. This was early on.
That was pretty earlier in the war.
Yeah.
Did you have any frightening experiences?
Well, I was on an LCI, which is a landing craft infantry that carried about 200 troops, and we'd land, just Marines is all, into these different islands. And as far as me being in any real danger, not really. We could hear them firing and so forth, and occasionally there'd be an airplane go over and we'd shoot anything that happened to go, and when somebody started shooting, everybody would, and it wouldn't make any difference if it was a Jap or an American, they shoot.
So you were never really afraid for your life?
Never was was afraid. Never had a minute scare any time, and got into some pretty rough seas because I was over there a long time and brought that little LCI back to the United States from the Marianas, which is quite a ways from the Solomon Islands. That's in the North Pacific, and the Solomon Islands are in the South Pacific. So it was thousands of miles from where I started, where I left to come back.
Yeah. Well, was it quite an adjustment as far as like the sea and the weather and all those different conditions?
The first year I was over there, it was a little bit of an adjustment. But when you're just a little older than you are now, you don't think you don't think anything can bother you. And so that's why they get young people to fight the wars. They don't have brains enough to know that they're in danger.
Yeah. So what was the most heaviest combat situation that you were in?
Well, I got a star for what they call the Consolidations of the Northern Solomons, and that wasn't Guadalcanal. That was Bougainville and those islands north of Guadalcanal. They would already secured Guadalcanal by the time I got there, and then the most interesting experience I had was we escorted U.S. submarines into the Philippine Seas from the Marianas, which is Guam, Saipan, and Tinian. And the reason they used us to escort submarines, that we used to take a wolf pack out. We used about 6, 3 on each quarter. We'd take 6 submarines into the Philippine Sea to the East China Sea,
Yeah.
East China Sea about 200 miles from there. And the reason they did that, our submariners were more afraid of our own aircraft and our own ships than they were of the enemy. And they took us along because we were easily identifiable.
Oh.
An LCI is probably the easiest vessel that there is to identify, and we could go about the same speed on top of the water as the submarines could go underneath the water, so they did all kinds of maneuvering along the way.
Yeah.
And one night we wound up right in the middle of a Japanese convoy going north to Japan, and the submariners told us to scatter, and we scattered, but there was never a shot fired on either side. And later on I asked why in the world our submarines didn't sink those ships. And they said they had certain assignments to make, and that they didn't, in other words, they might have had a battleship somewhere in the Japanese Sea somewhere where they had a definite objective, is what I'm trying to say, and they didn't interfere with that objective.
Yeah.
But we were alone out there, and I wondered about it at the time, and I thought for sure that was the end of us, but it wasn't. And nobody fired a shot. We came back to Saipan.
So they didn't want to vary from what they were supposed to do, or?
Our submarines didn't want to. They weren't a good enough target for them. They probably wanted a vessel that was a fighting vessel. And these were mostly transports and so forth that were transporting goods from Malaysia and places like that to Japan, because they were short of all that sort of thing, oil and all that,
Yeah. Were submarines pretty common, or?
Well, that was the only time that I had anything to do with submarines was for about 6 months, where we escorted submarines. At a certain point in the war, I couldn't tell you what point it was, but it was a turn. The war had really turned around, and that was before Formosa and those islands near Japan, before we got into it with them. It was after we'd gotten the Philippines, I think, was back then. I'm pretty sure. I can remember now.
Yeah. Okay. So did you stop at quite a few islands, or?
A lot of islands. I went out there about 20 years ago and recovered the area that I was on. I went 20,000 miles with a friend of mine, and we gathered up all kinds of souvenirs and fact matter in northern Saipan, where we patrolled for the B-29s off the north coast of Saipan, where B-29s were on the way back from Japan. A lot of them had a ditch, and we picked up crews that were abandoned, where they had a ditch an airplane, and that's where I was when the war ended. Was was on the north coast of Saipan, patrolling that area for downed B-29s. Of course, B-29 is what had the atomic bomb.
How did you feel about the atomic bombs?
If you were out there and I'd been out there and had my 18th, 19, 20, 21st birthday, by then I was ready to go home, and if chances are, if they'd had to invade Japan, we'd have lost hundreds of thousands of people because those Japanese fought until the last bird flew. They didn't. They suicided and everything else. So they never lost as many people as we killed in Japan if they had to stop. If they hadn't put that atomic bomb out and stopped it.
So do you think that was a good move, or?
A real good move. I don't care what these teachers tell you or anything else. If you were out there, if you'd been out there in the Pacific or one of those islands out there and been there for a long time away from your family and everything else and knew how hard those Japanese fought, you'd know for sure that that was the best thing that ever happened for us.
Huh.
I mean, it's a war after all. I mean, they started it. What the heck? Goodbye, Rich. I mean, they started the fight. If they didn't want to lose it, they shouldn't have started it.
Oh, boy.
We had to stop it any way we could. It was getting to be a pretty bad deal.
Yeah. Huh. So, what events occurred in a typical day out at sea?
Well, I was what they called a quartermaster. That's different than a quartermaster in the Army. A quartermaster is one who I had to be able to take signals, send signals on a visually and with flags. I had to prepare the maps, or what they called charts. Whenever like if they went from X point to another point, I'd break out the maps and set a course out for that on the map that we'd go. I'd lay out a course.
Yeah.
And of course, it'd all be checked by the officers and so forth. But I took charge of the maps, the charts, and so forth, and put them out on the chart table for them to plot the courses. And I was also in charge of the sextant. You have to have a sextant. You know what a sextant is?
No.
A sextant is a timepiece that gave you Greenwich time, so that a sextant is what measures the angle of a star from the...
Kind of a navigational tool, huh?
And I was in charge of all those instruments that did for navigation. And then the chronometer is what I was trying to think of that kept Greenwich time. So you had to know exact times in order to get the position of the whatever you're shooting with the sextant, so you'd know where your position was. And when they get what they'd fix, you'd shoot a star over one direction, star over another direction, and then another direction, and then that pinpoint where you were in the ocean, because there's no mountains or anything. You couldn't tell where you were from Adam, so
yeah.
By the stars or the sun where you were.
So you had a pretty important job, and
well, not really. I was just an enlisted guy, but I mean, I was a little more than just an ordinary seaman. I mean,
yeah. And so there was a lot of mathematics involved and stuff like that.
Yeah, some, but pretty simple stuff. It was all broke down for you on a chart,
Yeah.
And then I stood 4 on and 4 off underway. When we were underway, I stood on the conning tower with an officer. And then when there was general quarters or sea duty, what they call sea duty, that's when you come into a port or leave a port. That's called special sea duty. I steered the ship. I always steered the ship in the conning tower. That was one of my jobs, to steer the ship in and out on special sea duty. And then, of course, in general quarters, I also steered the ship.
Yeah.
From the conning tower. I was given instructions which direction and what the direction of the compass was to go, but I was one that run the control that did it. Run the setter.
Wow.
From a point inside of what they call the pilot's house.
Yeah.
In our conning tower. And in other words, somebody had called down and say right to 292, or you'd go right to 29. You'd say you'd repeat his order. You'd say right to 292, sir. And then after you hit that, you'd say rudder's right to 292, sir. And he'd say steady on course. And then I'd say steady on course, sir. And that would just reaffirm your direction. So really, you didn't steer it any more than you just was an idiot, you know.
Yeah. You just kind of followed orders and did what other people told you to do.
Common sense to put the thing alongside of a dock. I had to listen to them, and they'd say engines. All I had 1/4, and then you'd say engines. I heard 1/4 or whatever.
Yeah.
And then you'd ring it up on the telemeter, and then when they were there, you'd say all engines ahead 1/3 sore, and then you'd say, well, all engines ahead full, and you'd go, oh, ahead you fail with these two things. You had 2 screws, one on each, 2 propellers, one on each quad of engine. We had 8 engines. They were these Jimmy diesel engines, and you had a screw on one and a screw on the other. Sometimes you turned one in reverse to turn the ship, and one forward, and you just whip the ship around. But it isn't like one of those little ones like you got up there. It was about 160 feet long, so it took a little while to get it turned around.
Yeah.
Or slowed down or turned or whatever.
Yeah.
It was a flat bottom boat. It only drew about 6 foot of water. And so you go right up on the beach with ramps and dump these Marines off, let them go in there and fight. And sometimes they'd rather go in and face death than stay on the ship because they were so sick all the time.
Is that right?
These Marines are a bunch of seasick birds, I'll tell you.
Is that right? So
well, that flat bottom boat seems pretty rough to ride out on the sea with.
Oh, was it?
I never got sick, and I've been in pretty rough seas, come right over the ship. Never bothered me.
Wow. So,
I was a seagoing sealer. Spent all my time overseas on this LCI. If they did that today, they'd fire the officers that were in charge. That's just like putting a guy in a pan.
So what was your pay, your salary or whatever?
They only paid you about $60 a month.
$60 a month, and were you supporting your family with that, or?
And I said it, then I'd send that home to Mother. I didn't have any place to spend the money. There was no place to spend money.
So
no girls. I never saw a white girl all the time I was over there. I saw a lot of black ones.
Oh, geez, that's rough.
Huh?
That's rough.
Probably a good thing I didn't.
Let's see here. So they provided you with food and stuff then?
Food was lousy because we didn't have refrigeration.
No refrigeration?
No refrigeration, and the bread was full of weevils, and you'd hold it up to the light and pick out the bugs when you first went aboard. Then pretty soon you'd eat them, bugs and all.
Jeez.
The food wasn't very good until you were in. If you were in port, they had real good food, but when you're underway, you didn't even have regular water to shower with. You had to shower with salt water. You ever showered with salt water? It's pretty tough. Salt won't even touch it, you know.
Is that right?
Yeah, it was terrible duty. This was called undesirable duty, this kind of a ship I was on, and they put all the convicts on there. And I don't know how I got on there because I wasn't a convict then.
Jeez. So what was your quarters like? Your living quarters?
I stayed in one of the quarters where they put the troops with a black guy. He was the guy the other day that called me from Virginia, only guy that's ever called me, and he thought I was the greatest guy.
Is that right?
Yeah, and I got a letter from him, and he says, I've been a good man. I've got my own house, and I've been working for the post office. I'm retired. It was really interesting. He was a nice-looking Negro then, but now he's a big fat guy.
Oh, jeez.
I'm going to show it to you when you come down. I'll show you his picture and his letters from him.
So
I got him here not too long ago.
So is that the only one that you've kept in touch with? Or?
No, that's the only one. About the only one. He got in touch with me. I don't know how he found out where I was, but.
Is that right?
Yeah.
So you didn't make any long-lasting war buddies, huh?
They're all mostly ex-convicts on there. They put them on there, or else put them in jail. They had a choice. They could go to jail, or they could get on board that LCI.
And you don't know how you got stuck on there, huh?
Well, it was right at the time of the war when they needed anybody that could breathe, you know.
Yeah. Huh. So.
But else asked me to go. You got a quick question?
Oh yeah.
What is it?
So how long were you in the service for
about 3 years.
About 3 years. Were you excited when it was over?
real excited when I started home. Yeah, I went to Los Angeles Harbor and they immediately let me out, and I went right home to BYU in March of 1946.
Well, that's thanks a lot for your help.
Okay.
It's been grand.
Bye.
It's been grand talking to you.
Good to talk to you, Stever.
Happy birthday.
Be a good boy. If you could realize how important it is to be straight, Scott, Steve, if you just realize how important it is to stay straight, you can't believe it. If you get stuck up with some woman, you go through life eternal with somebody that's is an idiot, and you have her for the rest of your life and for the next life. Your kids are idiots, and you go on, and you wind up just as nothing but a bum.
That's great advice.
Make sure that you get one that's educated.
Okay.
Get educated and get better grades than you're getting. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Oh my gosh, that was so funny. I want everybody to look to see where the video stops at 2:22:06. And there's 40 minutes, so there's more pictures that Steve has to share. And you can all watch the rest of that, but we're gonna let that be the introduction. I see lots of smiles on faces because you can't help but kind of crack up when Grandpa's talking. And it was really, really fun. So Steve, I'm gonna go ahead and let you take the mic back up and tell us what it's like to see that video after all these years, and what's changed for you in terms of how you understood the interview then and where you can see it from now.
Well, for me, I when I went to the Missionary Training Center in about 2001, I started writing some stuff down in a journal, and I continued to do that, and then over time, I had some other experiences. And then after I had a couple brain surgeries, I really started to have this feeling that every single day is a precious gift. Every day of your life is a precious gift from God. Every day of your life is a precious gift, and I really feel that way. I feel that way. I feel that time is really all we have, and so I think for me, number one, really makes me want to take advantage of every day the best that I can, and B is to make a record of it, because I've been over time, since I talked to Grandpa, stood out to me that, if you don't record what happens during your days, if you don't record some of your experiences and things that happen to you, then those feelings and those experiences are lost forever. And no one will ever know about your experiences or the things that you felt or the things that you overcame or, any of the things that were important to you. And so, one of the things that has always stuck out to me about Grandpa, and even in that video that I didn't really catch on to the first at the time, was just that, he really lived life in a way that was unencumbered by fear. Because I think that, everyone is subject to, fearful experiences in their lives. Everyone has different fears, and I think we could all be overcome by fear. And, but for me, it's kind of an inspiration to think, that he was able to, get on a boat and handed him a machine gun, send him out to the middle of the war, and the Japanese are trying to kill him. And he says that, he really wasn't afraid, and that he just really conquered that experience. and he didn't allow it to destroy him or, cause him to become cynical. He was a very, I think he had a strong mind, and he didn't allow fear to overcome him. And so that's always been kind of been an inspiration to me, because I've had some experiences that were scary in my life. I've never been in a war. I've never had anybody, coming after me in a submarine. I've never been in the middle of an ocean on a flat bottom boat that I thought was going to sink. And so, I sometimes think to myself, if Grandpa Kirkham can go through those experiences and not be overcome by fear, then I can overcome the fears that I have, which are real. But I think we can all learn something about fear and how to overcome fear from what he had to say. And I think the other thing that's always stuck out to me about Grandpa Kirkham is when I very first called him, he said, he said, I was wondering how you were doing. I was wondering how you were doing. And, don't misunderstand. I don't think that Dale Kirkham was any kind of an exceptional listener by any means. But when I called him, he asked me how I was doing, and he would listen to me for a few seconds. And I think that's always been meaningful to me, that someone could show interest and say, I was wondering how you were doing today, and then take a couple minutes just to listen and show interest in other people. And so I think that it's a privilege for me to be a part of this family. I'm really grateful for all the experiences that I've had. And it was just an honor for me to be able to do that. And was there something else I can share, Rich, or how?
Oh, I loved it. Thank you, Steve. That was really great. Boy, that was fantastic. I'm going to ask Scott Kirkham if he would jump on here for a second and tell us what your thoughts were about the video. And if you've got a story or a photo of Grandpa that you'd like to share, we'd love to hear your story.
Oh, I think that video just larger than life. And, how he remembered everything from island to island and all those kinds of things was just, that whole generation lived, in that 3 to 5 years more than most people ever will in their whole lives. And, all the time we go over there and he had a war video going or something like that. So it was pretty cool. My story kind of just emulates what's going on with the no fear. I was one time with Grandpa, and we were working behind his house, and I have an old D8H bulldozer, and that's a great big 80,000 pound bulldozer. And it was just had its first snow. There was frost that had come on the ground, and we were down. I shake still thinking about it, but we were clearing the bottom of that canyon. If you're looking out Grandpa's windows and you look down the canyon, down behind Rich's house, there's a road that comes up that canyon, and there was about, I don't know, 8 or 10 inches of new snow. And Grandpa says, "Okay, Scott, jump in that cat and crawl it out." And I got right to the very crux of the hill, and that thing, the left track spins sideways, and I went sideways on that bulldozer, and I went, I'd say, the full length of the canyon. How far is that, Rich?
Long ways. That's a quarter mile.
Just completely sideways. I started gathering speed. I tried to turn one way or the other, and it was just going, and snow started piling up, and I finally come up and I hit this tree, and the track came way up off the ground, 3 or 4 feet off the ground, and came back down and slammed down, and I shut it all down. And Grandpa comes running up and says, "Oh my gosh, let's go do it again. Let's go do it again." And it was just, me, I was just still shaking in my boots, scared to death. And he just had no fear. And what did he make me do? He made me jump right back in that cat and crawl back up out of there. And we got the cat out of there that day. So.
Oh, that's a great story. Thank you so much, Scott. Katie, I see you on here, and you're the only member of your dad's family on here. So I'd love to hear your story, your thoughts. I don't know if you saw that video or not. But anyway, what are your memories on 222 Day?
Not much. Well, first off, thanks to Steve for putting that together and archiving that. It was fun to hear his voice. But I thought one thing that's admirable about Grandpa is he always took care of his body, and he always was exercising with that. I don't know what that Susan Summer buttocks thing was, and the trampoline in his room with his big old thing.
It was a thigh master. It was a thigh master.
Thigh master, that's what it was. And he'd jump around and turn the music on and kind of play with us as little kids. And I thought that was always admirable.
Oh, that's sweet. Thank you, Katie. How's everything where you are?
Good. We got about an inch of snow today, and we had a snow day. So that puts it in perspective for you.
Oh, that's so funny. Well, I'm glad
Yeah.
to see you. Amy, want to hear your story. What memories did you have, and your kids, if they want to tell us something they thought was cool about that video?
I have to say, I've been trying to figure out who Stokes was on this whole time. I'm like, what other Stokes is on this call? It's you. One of my favorite memories with Grandpa would be so after Grandma passed away, I was on my mission, and then I came home, and I was at BYU, Idaho, and I would come down and see Grandpa all the time. And we would go to Lava and just sing songs at the top of our lungs for the whole drive to Lava. And then we'd jump out, and he'd grab his Speedo that always was in the trunk, and we go take a dip and make friends with all the truck drivers that would tell us about how they could either pay for a truck stop and pay for a shower, or just come swim with us, and how much fun it was to make friends with people like Grandpa at Lava. So I just loved singing songs with him on our ways to Lava, and having him tell me how Speedos are better because there's no drag when you're swimming.
Austin, what did you see in that video? Do you know who Grandpa Kirkham is?
Yeah, you. What do you think about that video?
I thought it was really cool. I thought the pictures, I saw this long submarine. I thought that one was really cool.
That is cool, yeah. Well, that man is your mom's grandpa, and he was my dad. And so I got to grow up with him, and we heard lots of stories about that. And I want to tell you, Austin, I'm going to make this announcement that Uncle Rob, who was on the call till just a minute ago, and I are going to go out to Saipan, where Grandpa finished the war, and we're going to be there on 2/22/22, which is a Tuesday. So we're going to have some fun honoring Grandpa, and we hope that we can bring back some nice memories and photos to share with all of you guys. That will be fun. Let's see, I think we haven't heard from Kathy or from Carol. So let's hear a story from either one of you.
You know, one time when I was probably 14, I don't know, 14, I'll say. And he was trying to get me up for school, and I wasn't waking up. And the next thing I knew, he lit a firecracker and threw it in my bedroom. He scared me to death, and I shot out of that bed. That's a kind of a funny story. I always remember that.
That's a very funny story.
And, you know, he was a really, you know, our mother always said it, you know, he really did bring the fun. He really did. He was a fun person. Just find you in a crutch if you think about it.
He sure was. Really fun.
And I don't know, how many on here would know about this. I think I know I've told Richard, but you know, Jenny died at exit 222 on the freeway.
Oh, man.
And so that's kind of I don't know, that stands out in my mind, you know, I don't know, we were, Scott and I were driving down there to Pocatello. I never knew it, but we were driving down to Pocatello, and on the side that the freeway that she died on is exit 1. On the coming towards from Pocatello to Boise, the exit that she died at and where the helicopter and stuff was exit 1. But the exit across to go to that heads to Utah is exit 222.
Well, Grandpa probably met her there.
So that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, for sure.
Had to be exit 222.
Yep. Well, I see Abby back there, and I don't know, Steve, ask Abby if she wants to share something, or Jaquel, because I know Jaquel danced with Grandpa. And while they're coming up, Kathy, can you share a story? Oh, you're leaving. Okay, so let's see, is Abby coming up to talk to us? Are you muted, Steve? Oh.
No, my kid just is a little bit shy. Just come up here.
Hi, Abby.
Hi.
Hi, Abby.
Did you watch the video?
Yes.
Did you see that big boat that Grandpa was on?
Hello. Yeah.
Yeah, that was really a kind of a fun thing that Grandpa got to do that.
Hello, Abby.
That was a big experience in his life. He always talked about it every day. We would always learn something about the war that he fought in. And we're pretty lucky we don't have wars today, so that's a good thing. What did you see on that? What picture did you see that you liked? Share us one of your favorite pictures.
The boats.
You like the boats? Yeah, there was some good pictures of the boats. Do you like the number 222?
Yeah.
Did you know today is Groundhog Day, and it's 2/2/22. So today is 2/22 day. Okay, well, I
Hey,
think.
if I can interrupt real quick here, I got one other guy that watched this whole thing, and he's probably spent more time with him than really most of us because he worked with him, and that's Lamar. And Lamar's got a story he wants to share.
Oh, okay, great. And then now Jaquel's here too. So we'll hear Jaquel and Kathy after Lamar.
Do it, Lamar.
Right off the top of my head, Scott was talking about how Dale, no fear, sliding that dozer down the hill and stuff. And it kind of reminded me out South Fifth, there was a fire started out behind Bill Katsumita's house. And it went up the mountain, over the top, and come back, just zigzag back and forth over the ridge. And they needed a fire break. Well, Dale had his Huff dozer, that big rubber tire dozer, and he loved that machine. And he went down there and he was going to cut him a fire break. And he backed that thing so far up the mountain that the back wheels were bouncing off the ground. And he dropped the blade and come flying down the mountain, plowing a fire break for those guys. And one of the firemen watched him do it, and his only comment was, that guy's got to be crazy. And Dale he thought it was just fantastic. He got to really do something with that big dozer.
That's a good story. It reminds me of the joke of the guy that had a fire at his farm, and it was burning across the field and was almost to the barn. And if he lost the barn, he would lose everything. And they called the fire department, but they lived a long ways out. And pretty soon the fire truck showed up, and it was amazing because the fire chief just drove that fire truck right out into the middle of the fire, and he started spraying water everywhere. And before you knew it, the fire was out. And the farmer was so grateful, and he went over to the fireman, and he took out his checkbook and he wrote him a check for $2,500. And he says, Chief, I just want you to know how grateful I am and for putting out that fire. And here's $2,500. He says, out of curiosity, what are you going to do with that money? He says, well, I think the first thing I'm going to do is get the brakes fixed on that fire truck. Okay, Jaquel, it's your turn, and then Kathy.
Okay. So I guess the few times I got to spend with Grandpa Kirkham, he just would always make you laugh. And like Amy said, we've gone with him a few times to Lava too, and he is just a very actually, after we got to spend some time with you, Rich, when you came with us out to China, it kind of reminded me of Grandpa Kirkham. You guys were kind of similar when you travel. I feel like you just kind of love learning and love life and just love talking to people. And I feel like Grandpa Kirkham was like that. And I love that character trait about him and how he just had this attitude of like learning all he could learn and, you know, just enjoying life every day. Kind of like Steve was saying, it's like he kind of seized the day. I don't know how many of you are familiar with the musical Newsies, you know, the song in there's like seize the day, you know, and get out there and just be productive and do whatever you can do. And Steve would tell me stories about how he would go out and collect scrap metals and then just go sell them when he was younger. And I just thought, who would think to do that? And he just sounds so inventive. And I've heard the stories of how the cabin was built out there in Pocatello and the manpower and the creativity it took to like put that out there. It's a very special place, and I'm grateful for the times we've had to spend in the cabin. And I think I've been thinking a lot about like what Steve was saying, time that goes by. And recently, Steve and I and Abby just spent a weekend. We just got home last night from North Carolina. We were with my family. And I think it's really true. The time that we have with each other is so precious. And I think it's really special that Steve was able to put this video together just to remember a special time in Grandpa's life, and that time is really all we have. And I'm just so grateful for that concept of spending time with our family and just remembering from one another, because life these days, it's very fragile and we never know when our last day will be. And so I think it's all about seizing the day. And I think Grandpa would really just like it. I feel like his spirit's here with everybody. So
thank you.
And the dancing was fun. When he learned that I was a dancer, I mean, automatically he just, that picture, I remember that he just grabbed me and turned on his music and we started going to town, and he was a good leader. Like he had good rhythm, and I just try to keep up with him. So he was.
Oh, that was sweet. Thank
Very
you so
fun
much
memory.
for sharing that. And that is, I think, the real lesson of that. Carol, I don't know if Scott is there. Is he listening, or I haven't seen him? Maybe Scott has. Hi, Scott. Why don't you share a story with us if you've got a memory that you can share?
Well, I will say this, that I learned very early as Carol and I started to date and get more acquainted, that the thing that was most important in her life was her father. Her relationship with him, she just idolized her dad, and they were so much alike. And it was a really special thing. I mean, she just always talked positive of her dad, and she idolized the service that he did, the hard work that he did, the example that he set. And that said a lot to me about, you know, the family, and it's really great to come be a part of that.
Oh, thank you, Scott. Well, I thought the funniest part of the video was that when Steve started to speak and Grandma answered the phone, she said, "Hi, Scott." And then after he'd spoken a little bit, she realized it wasn't you, it was Stephen. And then when Grandpa picked up the phone, he said, "Well, hello, Scott." And so you must have sounded very similar to each other at that time. Anyway, that's kind of a fun thing, I thought. So Kathy, you get to wrap it up. So share your thoughts and story with us.
So 1 minute. I'm going to do it in 1 minute. You know, when I met Grandpa, he was sitting at the top of the stairs in Grandma and Grandpa's apartment in his garments. He had welts on his wrist from handcuffs because he had just been thrown in jail and had just been released, and he still had the welts from handcuffs. And I had never seen my dad in garments ever. And nor had my dad ever had handcuffs on his wrist. So it was a real shock to me to meet Grandpa. I soon learned that he was a good man, and I didn't have to worry about him. His prison days were over pretty much after that, although there were some scrapes along the way. I was a little afraid of Dale when I came into the family. I wasn't sure what he thought of me. I learned to love Dale. I think he learned to love me. And he was a good man. I miss Dale a lot, but sometimes Rich will talk and his mouth will move just like Dale's. And I'll think, oh my gosh, there he is. He's right there. He's not that far away. The older Rich gets, the more he looks like his dad. Sometimes Rob reminds me of Dale, and looking at those pictures of the Navy kind of made me think about Rob too. He looks a lot like Rob to me. How fun to hear his voice, and oh my gosh, all of the crazy, if we didn't hear about marrying idiots and having our kids be stupid, I don't know. We've heard that about 1,000 times. So that was fun to hear again. And I sure loved Dale Kirkham. And 222 is a special day, and it's always been. Here's the irony. 222 was a young family, actually Cruzan family lucky number. So it was our family lucky number before I became a Kirkham. So I'm doubly lucky to have 222. So it's a special, and you know, I lived really close to Punxsutawney, so happy Groundhog's Day, everyone. We are going to have 6 more weeks of winter.
And I think didn't your dad pass away on 222?
My dad died on February 22nd, so that's kind of a weird day too. But you know, we celebrate things like Aaron getting married on 222 instead of thinking about my dad passing away.
Well,
anyway, how fun to see all of you. I miss you guys. Well, I get to see Scott. And by the way, Rich, Scott is part of Kirk's family.
And Wendy said to say hi, but she said she had a temple appointment that she wanted to keep.
Yeah, I didn't get to see her, but I saw she was on briefly. So anyway, I'm going to let us end. So I don't want to be the one responsible for hanging everybody past 7 o'clock, even though I did.
I just got to say, I was hoping you were going to tell that story, Kathy, because in the video, he said, I wasn't a convict then.
Then, yeah.
Why was he in jail?
An officer had stopped Grandma. She was driving without a license because, I don't know, she wouldn't give her social security number to the DMV or something. And he saw her getting stopped. So he stopped to defend her honor. And they felt like he was interfering with justice, and they handcuffed him and threw him in jail with a woman. So even worse, you know, but I mean, they handcuffed him. He had welts on his wrists. That's crazy.
Well, that's a heck of a way to meet the Kirkhams, but you'll never forget it. That's for sure.
Never. Fidel used to say there'll never be a dull moment, and she was absolutely right.
I'm going to just share a couple things in closing with everybody. In the chat box, there is a link that if you'll scroll to the very top of the chat, there's a link in there to a folder on my Google Drive, and it has just a lot of information about Grandpa and his life. If anybody's interested, you can have access to that. I made it available to anybody who has that link. It's for family history purposes. And then I'm going to share my screen and just tell you about one other thing. So can you guys, I guess you can't see my screen. Can you see it? Can you see can you see that? The boat?
Negative.
Okay, so I need to exit that. I want to just tell you that there is a website and it's dalekirkham.com. And if you go to dalekirkham.com, you'll find a few things on here that you might want to know about. There is his war diary, his obituary, a life sketch of Grandpa, a newspaper article that was printed about him, a couple of more family detailed stories, and then a link here to finding Dale on Family Search. So if you do click on that link, it will take you to his Family Search website. And there are quite a few memories on here. There's 248 memories. I'd love to have you all add your own memories to this. We're fortunate that Steve added this link to the YouTube video is here. So that's available. And there's several audio things down here that have been recorded, and you can look through some of these memories. So I just wanted to share that with you. And I think with that, I promised everybody that this would be over at 7. We've gone over just a few minutes, but it really was wonderful to see you all and to celebrate Grandpa's 222 Day with you all. For those of you who are interested, there is another 222 coming up on the 22nd of February. So if you missed this one, you can get together with your family and honor Grandpa if you'd like in your own way on that day. And Rob and I will be in the South, or not in the South Pacific, in the North Pacific. And that will be a lot of fun for us to have that opportunity. All right. Well, is there anybody else that has anything they want to say before we end our, oh, Abby, what do you have to say? We have to unmute Abby first.
Okay, stand up. What do you want to say?
I love everybody.
Oh, that is so nice. Thank you. Amy, would you or one of your children like to say a prayer, a closing prayer for us?
Be happy to. Heavenly Father, we're so thankful for the opportunity we've had to be together tonight. We're grateful that we could be part of Grandma and Grandpa Kirkham's family, and that we could enjoy the blessings of the gospel and the things that they taught us. And we're so grateful to have each other and each other's support. And we ask you to please help us that we can always be mindful and remember the people and the sacrifices that they made, that of those that came before us, and the blessings that we enjoy because of them. We're so grateful for the gospel and for the Savior Jesus Christ. And we love you so much. And we say these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Big thanks to you, Steve, for all your work on that. That was great. Goodbye, everybody.
Thank you.